This is the second time this week that I had to make beef Wellington because my hard drive broke and I lost everything. Oh, that smells incredible. Yo there guys, and welcome back to the channel. Just look at this beef Wellington. It's absolutely incredible. I'm going to show you exactly how to make this. This is what you're going to need to make beef Wellington. It's a nice big chunk of fillet. I just went down to local butchers and asked for about 1.2 kilos of beef fillet. This one hasn't been cleaned, but you can ask your butcher to clean it and he'll do that no problem. So you can see all that silver skin, all that sinew on the top. We're going to get rid of all of that. So first, start with a really sharp knife. And because this is the part of the fillet that has what's called the head attached to it, you're going to have to slightly separate it from the main body just to get out all that sinew that's kind of hiding in between it. So very gently slice where the gap is and just follow along the line until you start to reveal that sinew. And then spin the fillet round, well because I'm right-handed, and you want to nip with your knife underneath where the silver skin starts. Make sure you slice enough so you can actually peel it up with your fingers, and then angle your knife just underneath the silver skin, but obviously slightly away from the actual meat, and very gently just push all the way along and the knife should do the work. And you're literally just peeling it off the meat, obviously trying to leave as much meat as possible on the actual fillet. As you can see there, the silver skin is actually pretty clean. So then you're just going to go around the whole fillet and do the same thing and try and get rid of all that sinew, because this is the bit that you don't want to eat. Make sure you get rid of any of them lumpy bits of fat as well where it's been attached to the actual rest of the animal. And there we go, one beautiful fillet. So now we're going to season heavily with salt and pepper and make sure we rub it all the way into the meat. Don't forget to mop it up with the ends as well. And be generous with that salt, don't be scared of it. And throw some olive oil into a frying pan and get it on a nice high heat. You want to get it to just before smoking point before you throw your fillet in. We want to seal it on all sides to get some nice colour on it. So just give it a couple of minutes on each side to get a nice seal, and you want to get that almost like brown crispiness to it. As you can see right here. And then still while it's hot, we're going to paint it with English mustard. Make sure it's English mustard. This is an English dish after all. But make sure it's fully coated in all the cracks and crevices, and then just leave it to a side to cool down while we crack on with the mushroomed upsell. So we've got about 400 grams of chestnut mushrooms here. We're not going to wash them, we're just going to lightly brush off the dirt. We want to be taking away as much water as possible, so we don't want to be adding any to it by washing it. We're just going to chop them down, so cut them in half and then give them a good slice one way and then the other, and then just run it over again with a knife. You don't want it too fine, but a good size to the mushrooms so they all cook evenly. And then throw a touch more olive oil in a pan. Also use the same pan that you did the fillet with. Extra flavour. Throw the mushrooms in, get it on a medium heat, and we're going to try and get rid of all the water, or as much as possible. So again, hit it with some salt and pepper, and then about halfway through, throw in 1 clove of chopped garlic. At this point you could also add some sage or oregano or any other herbs you want. Once you start seeing it all come together and get all nice and mushy, spread it out on a plate so it cools evenly and stick it in the fridge or the freezer just to cool down really fast while we get on with spreading some cling film over our work surface. Make sure it's nice and flat, and onto said cling film you want to be putting some serrano ham. You know, English serrano ham. But make sure you place enough to cover the whole of the fillet when we put it back on top, slightly overlapping it so there's no gaps as well. And then once the mushrooms have cooled, you want to bring them back and spread them generously all over the Jamón serrano. And once you've got a nice even layer, place your beef on top fairly close to you so you can start rolling it up from the side closest to you. So just very gently start lifting up the cling film and wrapping that Jamón serrano all the way around the fillet of the beef, rolling it all the way to the other side to make sure it's fully sealed, and then just very gently tucking in the ends, and then we're just going to tie it really tight. So just twist the ends and roll it along the work surface to make a nice tight compact cylinder, and then stick it in the fridge for 30 minutes to firm up. After the 30 minutes, flour your work surface very generously and then throw down some puff pastry. Store-bought is fine. If it's good enough for Gordon Ramsay, it's good enough for me. One day I will make my own, and obviously I'll be making a video about that too. And just be rolling it out until the size of the fillet to make sure that it can wrap all the way around. Also make sure you roll it out thin enough so it cooks evenly, and then same thing again, place the fillet close to your edge. Make sure you take the plastic wrap off as well, and then just roll it up like a big fat sausage. Make sure you trim off the excess pastry, and then just nip it together. Use a touch of water to seal it if you want as well. And then just make sure you're folding in the ends, sealing them completely tight so any flavour or mushrooms or anything doesn't want to fall out while cooking. And then transfer it onto a baking sheet and then crack an egg, give it a good whisk, and we're going to paint generously all over the Wellington. Make sure you get everywhere. Then we're just going to do a little chefy decorative thing, nothing too fancy, by scoring it with the back of a knife, just running it across the outside. Before hitting it with a good amount of sea salt, this will really help it crisp up on the top. And then we're going to stick it in the oven at 200 degrees for 35 to 45 minutes, depending on how fat or large your fillet is. But when it looks nice and golden, a good way to tell is to make sure you get a thermometer, stick the thermometer in, and you want to be heating about 53 degrees. That'll get you a beautiful medium rare. 55, medium. Anything above 55, you don't really want, just throw it away and start again. And then are you ready for this beautiful cross section? Would you look at that? That is absolutely incredible. Perfect, perfectly cooked. You can see the crispy pastry, the beautiful mushroom duxelle, and that incredibly pink, medium rare beef in the middle. You need to let it rest for a good 10, 15, even 20 minutes after it comes out of the oven before you cut into it. But would you just look at that steaming pile of beef? Absolutely incredible. I'm not joking, tasted amazing. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, please subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. And remember, just keep cooking.